Hello everybody and welcome back to Black Ops 6 Zombies, where we're going to be chatting about stuff. There's none of my thoughts on, well, it technically will be my thoughts on video in terms of the definition of it. We're going to be talking about Black Ops 7, and just generally my kind of wish list and hopes for it, as well as kind of talking about, generally how I feel about Call of Duty, because I know I mentioned it before, but I'm very kind of indifferent towards COD nowadays.
Where exactly should we take the artifact?
My quantum processing unit is underground. Find a way down to my mainframe chamber.
But, in terms of the game, we're going to be talking about mainly the game. My main problems with Black Ops 6 are less game-related and more community-related. I do have problems with the game, but most of my problems are with the community. But we're going to talk about problems with the game. I'm hoping that with the recent ending of the SAG-AFTRA strike, video game strike, that the content will be significantly improved upon, as well as the lawsuit of Disney and Warner Brothers against Midjourney does come to fruition. So I have hope, but I'm not going to hold my breath that this is going to be the game-changing thing. But Black Ops 6, what are my specific problems with this game specifically? I don't have many, really, in terms of the game itself. It's mainly just the community being insufferable, because they don't know what they want. They seemingly keep on asking for changes. When those changes come through, it's like nobody asked for this. Just typical COD cycle stuff. And I'm just tired of the COD cycle in general, because I'm usually fairly optimistic, but it's like I'm just getting actually physically tired from it. But I'm cautiously optimistic about Black Ops 7, because I've made it very clear that as much as I do like Call of Duty, I've only really preferred Treyarch CODs. And this game does feel, not necessarily an afterthought type game, but it definitely feels like a lot of the polish that I'm used to from Treyarch games. Especially with Black Ops 6 in Season 4, feels a lot less than what I would expect from Treyarch ineffectively around this time, doing like Black Ops 4 or Cold War, or even just comparing to like Sledgehammer at this time, or as much as I don't like making comparisons, as much as Infinity Ward. Usually, the Season 4 is usually a decently light on content, but Black Ops 6, while it's not light on content, has not a lot of new. It's a lot of stuff that's been returning, which a lot of people understandably are kind of mad because like there's nothing new. It's just kind of returning game modes and either new maps mostly, and then obviously with zombies, we really only had Shatter Blast come back. We only had we've had basically 4 weapons ever in Black Ops Cold War and Black Ops 4 come back. But the big thing is still the fact that the game still plays very well. A lot of people say, well, what about the Warzone notification? Blah, 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 blah. I don't care at this point about how the overall game feels. As long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters. And it's very much a thing where if you're not having fun with the game, don't play it. Like, I know it sounds very fucked up to say, because I know a lot of people made fun of the EA guys and the Diablo people when those two things had their drama of like, don't like it, don't play it. But it's like, realistically, it's good advice. If you don't like it, don't play it. If you spent money on the game and you don't like how it turned out, just, obviously if you're on PlayStation, that's kind of a problem, but if you don't like how it's turned out and you still are within your return policy, within the respectable return policy, just get a refund. That's like the best thing you could do. Like, genuinely, is just get a refund and just move on. Like, if you don't, like, obviously for a PlayStation, that kind of sucks because PlayStation's refund policy is stupid, or lack thereof. But yeah, it's like, obviously it's like I'm very much of the mindset of I don't like Warzone, but with the changes that have come with Black Ops 6. I've actually been enjoying it somewhat, as well as the fact that I haven't done a video on it yet. The casual mode has been nothing but great, and it makes me really hope that some of the rumors regarding Black Ops 7 are either real or at least partially real. I don't like listening to leaks, but I'm going to go off of official information and then some of the leaks that have seemingly gotten a lot of credence.
That's right.
Not the things specific to the game, but like a couple of things that are more concrete thanks to advertising of the Ally, the Xbox Ally. Number one, it is a Black Ops campaign being co-helmed by Treyarch and Raven Software. While it is going to be a lot of nameless nobodies, and then David Mason kind of leading the charge on this, I'm very okay with it. I know a lot of people kind of say, like, oh, another campaign with nameless nobodies. It's like, I like it, and I like it and I dislike it. I like it from the sense of it makes it so that your character can effectively die and there is no stakes. But for that exact same reason, I don't like it. It means that your character can die and there's no stakes. But it does kind of give the shock value of when something happens, you get to kind of see the reactions of the important characters when they happen. So like somebody like David Mason getting shot, you can't really see the anguish on Woods' face when he realizes that. That's something I really wish was there. Not necessarily the entire time, but it's something I really would have loved to have seen. But you also get the thankfulness of, like, at least with this campaign, we're supposedly being effectively like a selected Strike Force team led by David Mason, and be effectively like the Strike Force missions in Black Ops 2. If they're similar to that in any way, it's like, oh hey, good. It means they're just kind of generic nobodies, and presumably there's Samuels, which, if you don't know, I was going to cover it when it happened, but level 1000 you unlock Samuels, who is a character from Black Ops 2 that briefly makes an appearance. But I digress. But then you kind of, like, have this, again, this kind of disconnect of, like, oh yeah, there's no stakes. Which, I get. Not everyone likes that. I don't mind it. I'm definitely not all a fan of it, but it's like, I would prefer it over nothing, I guess. I would prefer it over this campaign over absolutely nothing. Because no campaign is worse than... A bad campaign is better than no campaign. At least if you ask me. I know a lot of people will say it's like, oh, well, stop wasting development on the campaign if it's bad. It's like, here's the thing. No. We saw what happened when a campaign got canceled. Black Ops 4 happened, and Black Ops 4, at least in my opinion, was one of the most universally hated games. Not because it didn't have a campaign, but because the game was, like, not very well balanced in any way. And Blackout was fun, but was not free to play when it should have been. That's a different conversation, though. When it comes to Black Ops 7, though, we also have the multiplayer maps, which I'm hoping they don't pull them on Warfare 3 and make them all be effectively remake maps. But if there's a couple remakes tossed in there, maybe a couple maps that are obviously from Black Ops 6, or like if the Black Ops 6 roster and all the extras, and a lot of people say, oh, that's just a $70 DLC. It's like, okay, so was Warfare 3. But then it became so much more than that. It actually justified its value in the end. So, like, yes and no, you know? But, again, conversation for another day. But, the main thing I want to bring up is the fact that it's going to be this is the part that I care about, the only reason why I'm even going to probably be playing Black Ops 7 in the first place. It's going to be a story set within the twisted machinations of the Dark Ether. And the one teaser we got is presumably, for a lot of leaks and rumors, and at least from what I interpreted from the very beginning, is a remake, or at least a reimagining, of Transit. Now, a lot of people are saying it's like, oh good, we're finally getting a Transit remake. Maybe the map will finally get its due diligence for having a map be kind of good. And I will straight up say it, I've always found Transit to be fun, because of the fact that it was challenging, because the map is so big. I definitely think if you could condense that map to make it smaller, as well as put it on hardware that can actually run the game with the no fog and have it be, like, look good. Maybe not, like, amazing quality like we have now. But, like, if you could make that game run better than it currently does, without the fog, and basically make the map more expansive and more interesting in a pseudo-Outbreak style, but still have it be round-based and stuff like that, I think Transit could be very fun. But I also will recognize the fact that Transit's not a great map. It's just not. but I'm willing to try anything once. That's my rule in life. We'll try anything once. At least nowadays, we're trying to at least give things second chances and stuff like that. But the main thing is that I am interested in seeing where this is going, especially since now that we know that Black Ops 7 is 2035. But it's 2035 and presumably a sequel to Black Ops 6. And basically, the whole thing is, we're getting the typical Treyarch time travel where Janus Towers leads us into Black Ops 7, then it would explain how, because here's the main thing, Modern Warfare 3 Zombies has it in recent, I think 2023, 2024. I think 2022 is the intro to Modern Warfare Zombies, if I recall correctly. So Modern Warfare Zombies basically having the three main characters, Strauss, Carver, Gray, or mainly Carver, Gray, and Weaver, being dead, presumably either at the end of Janus Towers or during the Black Ops 7 story, we will have effectively that ending. But presumably my guess is that Janus Towers will kind of send us into the Dark Ether itself, and we're basically jumping from pocket dimension to pocket dimension between them all, probably alongside Richtofen. Maybe Maya will be swapped out for Richtofen. Who knows? And seeing as the Dark Ether, at least in this storyline, is a lot more chaotic and able to pull from different realities, people are saying, oh, we'll probably get maybe some of the old characters back. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, because the whole capitalizing on nostalgia seems to be a problem in the general pop culture industry nowadays. I also would not be opposed to it if it's done in a way that doesn't discredit the entirety of the original Ether storyline and discredit the sacrifice at the end of Tag or Totem. If you have it be a thing where there is a character that is Russian whose name is Nikolai, but they know nothing of who they are previously, and they're not the same Nikolai Belinsky from either Primus or Ultimus, but they're similar in the same vein of that they're just a Russian, effectively the stereotypical Russian man with somewhat flickers of a past memory of himself. Not necessarily full memory, but like a flicker. I think that would be fine if you effectively do what they did with Richtofen in this. Maybe give them a little bit more of a backstory as to why they are the way they are. Give them more interesting context that might be interesting. Same with Takio, who would unfortunately have to be recast since Tom Kane's retired. And then we gotta also give our boy Dempsey some love, so here's hoping that maybe Steve Blum would return for that. But I think out of everyone, I think the only one that wouldn't is probably Fred Tessitore, who's voiced Nikolai. But at the same time, everyone except for Tom Kane out of the original cast is still doing stuff. But even then, it also opens up the idea of having characters like the Primus crew, the Primus crew. No, not Primus. Victus. Excuse me, I'm stupid. There's opportunities of maybe having the Victus crew make an appearance. There's opportunities of maybe having since we know Chaos is canon to the Dark Ether, it could have maybe some members of the Chaos crew tied in there somehow. Maybe even tie in some extra little loose ends of stuff that maybe we didn't even know before, you know? Like, there's plenty of opportunities to do something interesting. But I'm still hesitant, because, again, if Black Ops 6 is anything to go by, unless they actually are going the route of trying to have a pseudo-classic experience, so something that's where you're kind of going halfway between what we have now and classic, so maybe a more traditional point system, but you still have the weapon upgrade system we have. I think that would be a good compromise, or at least have the option for a classic point system, or invert it and just have it be the current point system, but no upgrade tiers. So it's like maybe just a pack-a-punch tiers, basically, or just less complexity to damage, that you basically have your triple pack-a-punch and that's it. Maybe a weapon upgrade tier to make it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, rather than it being 5 tiers. Maybe similar to Pack-a-Punch. Or maybe you just remove it and make it 1 Pack-a-Punch. I don't know. But if they actually are going to try and go kind of halfsies, in terms of making it more in line with Classic, but allowing the people who are more used to Warzone have that familiarity from Cold War and Black Ops 6, and Modern Warfare Zombies to an extent, then maybe it would be fine for the greater community. Because that's the one thing, is like, I know it's a common saying, by trying to please everyone, you please no one. Right? if Black Ops 7 tries to please everyone, they are going to end up pleasing nobody. So I think the best thing you can do is try to meet them halfway. Like, maybe do Cold War's armor system so you don't have to manually plate. Because I think that's a better way of doing it, than just having it kind of either regenerate over time through health, like with golden armor, or have it just auto-plate by default so you don't have to worry about it. And then, obviously, have all the same upgrade stuff that we have for, like, perks and augments and stuff like that. And then like, have Pack-a-Punch and the point system be more classic. Maybe you still have tiered Pack-a-Punch, but with a classic point system, it's more expensive. So, like, normal pack is still 5,000, double pack is 20, and then triple pack is, like, 25. So it's that way, it's still more expensive to get to Tier 2, but Tier 1 will last you longer, while Tier 2 and Tier 3 are more for the people who are going to be committing to high rounds. But you can hit it pretty decently if you have a low damage weapon type thing. Maybe you get rewarded for actually going for headshots more, but if you get only body shots, you hit not necessarily hit an eventual cap, but maybe you don't get as effective points, you know? But you get more points for hitting headshots, not necessarily getting kills. Stuff like that, like hitting crits, effectively. You get more points for hitting crits, not necessarily getting crit kills. Again, trying to find compromises for everybody, because that's the main thing, is like, you have to try and think of compromises for everybody to do the right thing. Because again, there are people who are going to be mad. There are people who are going to be very mad no matter what. If you make an Outbreak-based game mode, people who don't like Outbreak are going to be mad. If you make a more traditional round-based system like we are currently, people who really want Outbreak again, or really want a more traditional, or who want a non-traditional zombie experience are going to be mad. If you do a roguelike experience like Vanguard, people who don't like Vanguard are going to be mad. People who... You get what I mean? Like, no matter what happens, you can't please everybody. You just can't. There's absolutely no way of doing it. Like, yes, well, it's like, why don't you make a classic mode and a standard mode? That's the problem. If you do both, it doesn't matter what happens. You're not only are you splitting the community even more than you already are, you're gonna run into the problem of having these classic and standard modes and have to balance them independently. Which, the fact that we're having balancing issues, that it took them this long to have balancing across multiplayer and zombies be separate. I think trying to have a classic mode, a standard mode, especially in terms of damage values, perk values, all this kind of thing, that's going to be a nightmare for development. Now, I'm going to end it off with one major question. If you made it this far, first of all, subscribe. I upload every single day on a variety of different games, not just Call of Duty. I try to upload a variety of different games, trying out new games at least every other week, maybe, it feels like. Unless it's like a content week where it's basically like, hey, a bunch of new content for all these games is happening. I gotta cover this first. But today was actually a Division 2 video, and unfortunately, I have the risk of playing that right this minute because I am on my day off. And I wanted to record something quick for today, and I will probably record it as me recording this tomorrow, and then it'll go up Monday. Hopefully. No promises, though. And I obviously no promises if I'll stick around for Division after I do the one video on it, so. But, back to the question. What is something from any Black Ops title, so Black Ops 1, 2, 3, World at War, 4, Cold War, 6, as well as I'll toss in maybe even the Infinite Warfare, and like the non-generic Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, World War II, and Vanguard, and Modern Warfare. What is something from those games that you think was very good that you think might be able to slot into a Black Ops 7 release, that would make sense balance-wise, that wouldn't break the entire game from the ground up in terms of actual balance, but is more or less there for like, hey, we want to give you a mechanic that you can interact with that's interesting, that makes your game more fun, without necessarily breaking the balance of it. So mine, personally, would be having something along the lines of a Perkaholic / Super Easter egg that you can opt out of at any time. So, similar to how we had the free purple tier weapon upgrade in Cold War, or generally Director's Cut in Infinite Warfare, something that is a rewarding Super Easter egg that you can turn on and off, but with permanent rewards outside of that option. So like a camo or something like that. Personally, that's an example I would give, but my personal actual choice would be giving us the ability to not necessarily start with custom weapons, but to have a semi-custom loadout that is effectively the bare minimum. So you can either choose a custom loadout or effectively a default loadout that is incredibly bare bones, that's maybe curated by Treyarch or maybe a community, like the community or something, as a good starting loadout that's good early game, bad late game. Effectively, like, instead of starting off with any weapon you want, you start off with a set pistol or a set, maybe a set SMG, maybe a shotgun. Not to say for like a classic mode, but like, hey, if you've noticed, every single first playthrough I've started off with a 9mm, the 9mm PM, to kind of give the idea of a classic mode launch rather than to just dive right in with like the best AR, the best SMG. Just because it allows for a semi-interesting experience for the first few rounds, and then I get a good weapon, and then I'm good. But yeah, what's a feature from past COD games you would want included? Obviously, you got to consider like monetization-based stuff. So if the monetization-based thing that they would basically resolve by making it monetized, that's one thing. But let's say you have creative control over the next COD game, and monetization is not being considered. What would be a feature from any past COD game that had zombies that you would include in Black Ops 7? Again, for me, would be a default loadout selection that allows players who don't want to start with any weapon they want, have a loadout that is very pseudo-classic. That way people who don't want to start off with any weapon can just have it be set to default that it starts off with them a pistol on every new map release or every time they play a certain game mode or whatever. But yeah, that'll be this video. If you guys did enjoy this, be sure to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I put out every single day on a variety of different games, as I mentioned before. Tomorrow, I will see you guys in War Sonic Unleashed. Hopefully, I will be caught up with that, and I don't have to worry about grinding out more of those fucking medals. But I have to watch the guide and do that today, as it's going up, but tomorrow for me. As this video going up, by the way, I actually should be going to, or actually a little bit after this video going up, I should have a little appointment for a possibility of getting a house. I know I mentioned I'm going to be moving in with my significant other, but considering if I could stay in my state so I could keep all my health benefits, that'd be preferred. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video or live stream, whatever it's gonna make. Everybody, stay safe.